Awesome! One of my favorite Transformers characters is finally hitting the big screen. Who the hell is this?
I'm not gonna go without you.
Fate rarely calls upon us at a moment of our choosing.
Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, Optimus Prime voice. So, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, let's start off with the good because we have a lot more ground to cover. So, the good things about this, let's just summarize it. Badass CGI robots, awesome soundtrack. Whoever that guy's name is, you do an awesome job with the soundtrack. You're awesome. Yeah. And, what else is awesome? Oh, yes, oh boy, I ran out of ideas. So, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, what was bad about it? Well, to be honest, it isn't the worst movie. It isn't like, one of those movies. But, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, what was bad about it is, Well, before we get into the bad stuff, let's talk about the plot. So, the plot of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is long ago when, it was still ancient Egypt, there were primes. Now, these primes went all across the galaxy. They put these little machines hidden into those planets and absorbed their suns for energy. Their one rule was that they would never absorb the energy from a planet that had life on it. Until one of them, called the Fallen, betrayed that rule and tried to just, destroy our planet and take the energy from the sun. And he failed because he didn't have the keys to activate it, which was called the Matrix of Leadership. Oh yeah. So the Fallen was, surprise, surprise, the original Decepticon. Yeah, Megatron is not the threat in this movie. The real bad guy is the Fallen. He's a really bad person. Like, seriously, you would not want to mess with the Fallen. So, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, what I didn't like is I was not feeling the humans at all. The humans are just these annoying people that you just have to be forced to hang out with 80% of the movie. I know Sam Witwicky saved the world in the last movie, but seriously, in this one, all he is Transformers prey. It just shows him in a college, he gets almost gets killed by 3 Transformers. In his house, he gets all the kitchen appliances turn into Decepticons and try to kill them, which reminds me, why does every Allspark infused Transformer have to be a Decepticon? Why can't one just be an Autobot? Yeah, so that's the one thing I didn't like. The human side characters are just annoying. They become the main characters, which is really bad for a Transformers movie. It might as well have been called Humans. What I really would like for one day, if they actually do this, if a new director does Transformers, that the movies focus more on the Transformers a little bit more, because we don't see them much in the Michael Bay ones. And these ones should focus on the humanity of Transformers more than just badass CGI robots that just have to beat her so then the little kid inside all of us can go cheer them on. So, and the other thing is, Michael Bay probably never saw one Transformer thing ever. Now, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the first time I saw it, I never knew one thing about Transformers. Except, Blur action figure. Yeah. Woohoo! So, I saw the 1980s one before this, but I didn't really remember it when I saw this, because I was still a little kid. And I saw this movie, and it made me want to look more on Transformers, and after I saw that, I just realized how much stuff they contrasted in this movie. For example, the Primes, they are not ancient Transformers. They are actually, technically they are. Well, you see, the god of all Transformers, Primus, created the 13 original primes, which were supposed to like go combat like the god of chaos named Unicron, which is essentially Kronos from the Greek mythology, or those awesome Percy Jackson books that are better than the movies. And the Fallen is not a prime. He is a herald of Unicron, I think. He's supposed to work for Unicron. He's like his little evil henchman. And they initially went against Unicron, and then their descendants are all corrupt and evil. They just are bad people, which explains why Sentinel Prime is bad in the next movie after this. And this explains why Optimus is such a good person, because Optimus is the first Prime that isn't a total bad person than the 13 original Prime's descendants. And he actually inherits the Matrix. So, yeah, that was the complaint. And there's a lot of wasted potential in this movie. There are a lot of really good characters. Like, at the beginning scene, you see this really awesome Transformers, and they don't show up for most of this movie. But what you really get to see, awesome Bumblebee, and then there's Skids and Mudflap. Well, let me just tell you guys from my perspective. In the comics, what I feel about Skids, he's this like theoretician, a guy who comes up with theories, and he's really deep and methodical. He's got a really good thinking. He has this like special ability where he can like predict your next move before it happens. He's like a weird person like that, and he has wrist-mounted machine guns and like machine guns popping out of his back. And yeah, he's really good. He has amnesia, so he doesn't know like 25% of his life, which is interesting because you get to go along with him in the comics for him to like see his past and like learn more about himself and what he was before he did some other things. And then Mudflap in the cartoon was this Autobot who didn't know much about himself. He was like a lost soldier, kind of like Wolverine, and he had to rediscover himself in the cartoon, and he initially became like one of the Decepticons at a point. And then in this one, they're just idiots. They're like full-out comedy relief. So, yeah, I didn't really like that, which tells me one thing: sometimes the cartoon and comics are a lot better than the actual mainstream stuff. So, yeah, that's what I was disappointed on, is that they somehow butchered the lore. And Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the other complaint I had was, yeah, the Fallen, man, that guy looked menacing, and what happens? Optimus combines with the old man Jetfire, and speaking of which, Jetfire is not an old guy, he's a younger guy who has all these awesome powers in like the cartoon. He's like a titan in the cartoon. And so Optimus combines with Jetfire in this one and just like kills the Fallen in under 2 minutes. I even checked YouTube for that. Shows how sad I am. And yeah, that was pretty sad. The Fallen got wasted really quick. So Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, I'd say I'll give it a 3 out of 5 because it isn't a bad film and all the crap that people are saying it is. It's okay. It's not as bad as, you know, Batman and Robin. And so Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, I liked CGI, I liked the soundtrack, I liked the action scenes. The thing I didn't like is they have some contrast with the lore. Some of it which I can roll with, some with which like Skids and Mudflap I just can't. And they had a lot of wasted potential characters. I wanted to see more Sideswipe actually. And yeah, and the human characters were annoying. So Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, what do you think of it? You can comment below, say like if it was good to you or not, and I'll show 2 pictures of Demolisher, one's from the movie, one's from like the cartoon. You'll know which one's which, because Michael Bay makes a big difference between the characters and the real selves, unless you're talking Optimus. And Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, yeah. I'll see you guys later, and tell me what you think of it. Peace out.